Exactly like me.
All right, well, it's 12:07. The magic hour has begun, so let's start programming. I don't remember where we left off. I know we're close, right? I know we faked the likelihood algorithm. Popping over to the code here and zooming in, very first thing. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we definitely finished getting all the inputs from the user, right, and doing some validation there. That was a couple days ago. We finished getting the data out of the file. We looped through every line in the file doing a thing, right, calculating contribution amounts, deduction amounts, made sure the event was handled correctly. We're keeping running totals. So it looks like we need to produce some messages. Remember that for every month we need to display 3 messages. One about the contributions, one about the employee contributions, employer contributions, and any events that had a positive balance. Display a message describing the total amount deducted from the HSA, and display a message that shows the description for any event that occurred during the month. So we've got a couple messages to display for every month, and then after we've done all the months in the file, everyone, let's open our chip bags all together at one time, and then no more chip bag. I'm just kidding.
That's a really nice. 3, 2, 1.
Chips.
Hold on, I need to turn my purple button.
Thank you. Yes. Does anyone have a? What's? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Sorry for my outburst. Okay, and then after we've done all 60 months, we need to produce some messages about our running total. So I think we are ready to do that, and then we will dive into our likelihood algorithm, which is going to be crazy. Okay. So we've actually got the total contribution amount, total deduction amount, and running total. This is inside the loop. We've also got the deduction amount and contribution amount for the month. And we've got the event description somewhere in line data. So let's produce some output. And I think in order to do this, I would like to create a function. And I'm going to call it display monthly messages. So let's create, what will be the role of this function? This function should basically produce all of the messages required in this block of requirements, okay? There will essentially be 3 messages, something about the contribution amount, something about the deduction amount, and then any events that are applicable in the month. So what should the return type for this function be?
String.
Could be string. And we called it display monthly messages. What are the inputs for this function? So it needs to do these 3 things. Display a message describing contributions, display a message describing deductions, and display a message describing events. So what should the inputs for this function be?
We need 2 ints and a string.
Okay. I like it. I like it like that. Okay, and then this thing is supposed to produce a couple messages. So as we all know, a console.write line. Let's first produce the message for contributions. The contribution total for the month, we'll say for now. was, colon, and let's use our fancy string interpolation here, which means rather than doing a string.format, we can prefix our string with a $, and that means this is a parameterizable string. Darren just walked outside to open his bag of chips. Appreciated. Appreciate. Okay. Okay. I'm going to copy this line, for I has the lazy, I am a developer. And I'm going to say the deduction total for the month was deduction amount. Or, as we say in Spanish, the deductoin amount.
What if there's more than one deduction for the month?
So there could be more than one deduction, but we want a message to describe the total amount deducted for the month. So there could be one deduction, there could be 50 deductions. We just want the sum of deductions.
Okay.
Sorry. Apparently that doesn't work for Shelley, so class is dismissed while I rewrite requirements.
Correct.
I got my lunch, I'm gone. This happened. Getting lazy. All right. So we've gotten to the end of our function now. We're displaying all three messages, and we're getting yelled at because it doesn't return a string value. So we have a decision to make here. We could, instead of making the messages appear out to the console, we could append them to one giant string and return that from the function and then have one console.writeLine, or we could change this function to return void, right? Any strong preferences? Any arguments for one or the other?
I want to see what happens when you do void.
Okay. That error goes away. We have another error up here saying, you're not giving me arguments for the parameters. So we need to pass this function some values. There are 3 values, right? Contribution amount, deduction amount, and we need to get the description of the event. That exists in line data at index something. Let's jump back over to our wiki. What index will the description of the event be at? 4. Yep. Count. We count. It's a 0-based index, so we start by counting at 0. Very good. Okay. We have not yet run this program, and I think, in the words of the song, it's time for us to fly. Time for me to fly. Let's do this. What is my age? 31. Activity level, 1. Nutrition level, 1. Covered dependence, 10. Am I married? Yes. Dedication to savings, 1. Employer benefits, 5, because this is being recorded. Okay. So let's look through our output here. What do you notice about the output? What do you wish was different about this output? You wish you tell us which month? You mean this? Yeah, I agree. I think the contribution total for the month was 1,800. Doesn't really help me, especially since the contribution amount is the same every time. Okay, I'm also noticing that the deduction amount is always 0. That's not quite right. If we look at the file that, well, I guess maybe it is right. I don't know.
Well, we haven't written out the calculation. So it's just gonna pull.
But we are getting a deduction amount, right? We should be getting the amount out of the event. Maybe the file has 0 for every event amount. IDK LOL.
I feel like the immediate brain access would cost you more than $0.
You would think, but maybe this program is being run in Canada, so you never know. No, yeah, these are all -100. So we've got a bug somewhere in there. We'll figure that out here in a minute. But I like the idea that we change the output messages to include a message about what month and probably what year, since we're going over 5 years. So how are we going to achieve that?
Well, it's got to read the line data from the
We need the line data.
from.
Hmm.
I don't know what. The
So line data,
from
where is the month and the year going to be? What index? When?
the 2 and 0. The yearbook is 0. 2 would be the. Oh, sorry. I guess is 1 the month. Yeah, 1's the month.
0 will be the year. 1 will be the month. Very good.
I realized that there was 25 months in the year. So.
None of it's a week.
So,
Oh, wow.
that's a culture.
Oh, food poisoning.
Okay, I pulled out the year and the month. What next? I want it to show up. So I could add it to this function. I could pass those values to this function, or at this point, I could just be like console.writeLine summary for. We'll use our string interpolation. Actually, let's do it the other way so you can see how great string interpolation is. We're going to do a string.format, blur, and then we're going to add in these lovely little placeholders. These are also 0 based. Right, quite a lot more code here than just the string interpolation, but.
So I've been able to use that same syntax without the string.format prompt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So are you saying like this? Oh, because you're also using console.writeLine?
Yes.
All right, well.
What is the 0 and the 1?
So these are templates, right? So it's saying, this is a template sentence. I need something. I need 2 pieces of data to fill this template, right? This is the position of the first piece of data, and this is the position of the second piece of data. And then I have to supply those pieces of data, or else I get yelled at. I get yelled at. It would break. Trust me. Just trust me. All right, let's try this out. Okay. That's a little better. Any other modifications you think you'd like to make to that?
Still not gathering a deduction.
Still not getting the right deduction. Let's figure that out right. Yeah. So the deduction amount is supposed to be set by adding the event amount. Let's just do this. Let's, since debugging has been a little problematic for us, let's add a couple temporary console.writeLine statements. Stop it. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is not bueno. So all of these debug statements that we added did not even show up. And the reason for that is because the calculated likelihood, 0, because we're faking it, is always less than the event likelihood. Does that make sense? We last time were just like, okay, we're going to skip creating the get likelihood score function. It's empty right now.
I was saying earlier, we haven't done that.
Yep.
Calculations.
Working as designed.
Working as designed. So now we should see a whole bunch more output. Deductions should actually appear. There you go. And we're getting our deduction amounts every month now, -100.
How would you? Oh, how would you display a money sign next to that?
Let's do that right now. I'm going to take out these temporary statements because if you don't take them out, then they get checked in and then you get yelled at later by your boss.
That would never happen.
Yes, I did. All right, the request was to add a $sign. So I can do it this way.
Because it's not at the beginning of the string, it doesn't.
Right, so right here, this is just the $sign. Outside of quotation marks, it's the string interpolation operator.
Gotcha. Okay. So as long as it's within the
Yep.
quotations, and it should write it as an item. Or as a,
Yep. Okay, let's do it again. Boy, am I tired of typing all these inputs. I could. Sure could. Okay. Very good. There's probably a much easier way and a more mature way to do this. And so I'm going to the Googles, which is what all the mature programmers do. So I'm going to say C# format int as currency. Oh, this looks like a thing we could look at. So toString is a method that you will find on everything in C#. Any variable you can call a .toString on. The toString looks like it takes a couple arguments, which can be the string format. So it looks like right here, we should be able to take any money amount and say toString and display using this format, whatever C3 means, or C. So let's try it out. That's gobbledygook, Eric. I don't accept that. toString, and we're going to take in a format of C. Let's just try that. Same dealio here. Let's get a copy pasta going. Why did you do that? Okay, I like it.
Returns parentheses because it's negative.
Yeah, parentheses because it's negative. Apparently that is the C# or some currency standard for negative dollar amounts. I don't know. I'm not an,
They did the dollar sign because it was not taken out line 67.
hey man, get off my back.
Got you.
Just kidding. Yeah, just kidding. Good find, good find. Okay, very good. Well, we have, that's right, money, dollar bills, y'all. Okay, I believe that we have displayed the correct messages for the month, and now we just need to display the final summary messages. Let's do it. So we want to display a message describing the total amount added to the HSA over 5 years, a message describing the total amount deducted from the HSA over 5 years, and the total of the HSA after 5 years. Okay, we've got those amounts right here. So I think all we need to do is write some console.writeLine statements and delete our superfluous spaces at the end of the line. So I think I'm going to introduce a bug here. See if you catch it. Display yearly messages. Okay. And
About a year too?
what's that?
You want to put a year too?
Okay. Not yearly. Final. Sorry.
Oh, that's better.
That was not the bug. That was a bug I didn't mean to introduce, but just introduced. Okay. In order to display those, we need to pass in those amounts. So let's say total contribution amount, total deduction amount, running total. Total contribution amount, total deduction amount, and running total. What's up?
He gives the wrong strings. That was the error. Is that,
The wrong strings?
yeah, it's supposed to be contribution amount, production amount, instead of total. Is that wrong? Because it's supposed to be plus equals, so you need to use the contribution amount, production amount, and running total.
I don't follow.
Okay, so in line 62, you
Mhm.
put total contribution amount,
Mhm.
total deduction amount.
Uh-huh.
Is it supposed to not have the word total there?
Oh. No, the contribution amount and deduction amount are the totals for the month.
Got it.
This is like the running total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which we've already done, right?
Right. So this is at the end of all 60 months, I want to display messages. Okay, let's create this function. What should the return type be, do you think? Void. We're just trying to display final messages. And I'm going to abbreviate. And I'm going to introduce another bug, not on purpose. Okay. Let's display some messages.
You've already put the bug in.
I have already put the bug in. Final summary. Okay. Total contribution amount will be string interpolation. Ain't nobody got time for that string format list. We're going to do total comp to string and the format of C. And I don't know what you're doing right there. Nope, definitely need that one. Okay. Once again, the lazies. Total distribution amount. Total dist. And I don't know, you want to call this final total? Final balance? Okay, I'm ready to go, but has anyone caught the bug yet?
Name abbreviations. Will you go back to your arguments real quick? What did I find on this? No, I'm sorry.
You have to declare the dates, you have to declare them.
Nope. Even though this is called total contribution amount up here, it's just the value that I'm pulling out to fill this parameter. So these names don't have to match. Let's run this. It will be very apparent what the bug is at that time.
Oh, it's in your loop.
Bam, bam, bam. Dang it, Michael. Yes, we are going to display the final total 60 times. It would be the running total, but not the final total, which is clearly what these ironclad requirements are asking for, is when you have calculated 5 worths of months, I don't know, 5 years worth of months, yeah. Move it down one more, yep. That was gonna be so much fun. We were gonna like double our output, but if it weren't for you nosy kids and that mangy puppy. Sorry.
Give the dog a break.
Can I have a Scooby snack?
All right, let's do this. My age is 30. I won't talk out loud for this part. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Maybe I do need to talk out loud. Okay, final summary. Total contribution amount, $36,000.
360.
5 by 10.
All right. Total distribution amount was $6,000, and the final balance was $66,000. What?
I want money to work that way. Still, my bank account.
All right, let's go figure that out.
Oh, I don't know.
The Monopoly guy declares a bank error in our favor.
This is exactly what's happening. Okay.
Balance is off.
Yeah. Let's add in a temporary
Well,
thing.
do we know that final balance is off because the other two numbers aren't off?
I'm going to suggest we look at the running total as we build it. Let's do that. Good suggestion. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now we wait. Let's look at the first month where we got contribution. All right, we had a contribution total for the month that was $600. We had the deduction total for the month that was $100, but somehow we ended up
Oh, is it because the employer is contributing?
You can see right here, the very first thing we did was write 1100. So why would we have done 1100? That was this line right here.
That's
Did we declare it as?
where's that inside of?
This is inside of a loop, right? So we're going to write it out 60 times, once for every month. Yeah, we're adding 1100 every month. 3,300, 4,400, 5,500, 6,600, 7,700. So how are we getting to 1,100?
So what are you passing into running total in the form of contribution amount, deduction amount?
You're adding contribution amount and deduction amount. And it's not seeing it as a negative. Is that why?
Well, I mean, the file stores it as a negative.
So you are using that C whatever currency, that should not be. No, that's out. That's out.
Yeah, that's just output. So,
Code better.
oh, you know what it is? We're adding to running total 2 times. Look at that. Running total added contribution amount right here, and running total added contribution amount right there.
600.
It's adding it twice. I don't think this is the final thing, but it's definitely a bug. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, well, that was the final thing. Very good. Good job, everybody. We've saved the company yet again.
Wait, that's not right. Aren't you supposed to start with 1,000, so shouldn't it be 31,000?
You know what? We didn't write that code yet, so let's do that.
Oh, we
Let's
start
do
with
that.
1,000?
So I'm going to start by saying running total is $1,000. Eric just wants to see me type this input again. I'm,
I never saw
Better?
the total production.
okay. I think now we have 21 minutes left. It's time to do the likelihood algorithm. So the likelihood algorithm is going to be cray, right? It's got a bunch of stuff. All of our inputs will drive this likelihood algorithm. Just to review it real quick, we're going to get a luck random number between 1 and 25. This is how you get a random number between 1 and 25. You're welcome. I gave you a line of code. Right? If they're married, you need to add 5 points to that number that you generated. You add 3 points for every covered dependent in the family. You add 10 minus 2 times the activity level. So if they put an activity level of 5, we would add 0 to their score, their likelihood score. If they typed a 5 for nutrition level, we would add 0 points for the nutrition score, right? So if they typed a 1, it'd be an 8. Yeah, bringing their likelihood up, right? So lots of kids brings your likelihood up. Low activity level brings your likelihood up. Low nutrition level brings your likelihood up. And higher age brings your likelihood up.
Couldn't you just do that out of 5 and do minus 1 times whatever the input is?
Let the record show that I'm glaring at Austin. No, Austin, we have to make it complicated so you learn. No, you're exactly right. And we will do that. We will do that. Okay, well, let's start. How do we want to, let's see, we put in a placeholder for the likelihood score here. So let's start writing some code. How do we want to tackle this? Do we want to do one giant likelihood function? Do we want to do a lot of little functions that calculate these separate steps? What do you think? What will help us maintain this later when I add 17 more requirements? Thank you for saying that. Okay. Sure hope I spelled likelihood right. Okay, very first thing we need to get the luck, right? So we're going to say likelihood plus equals get luck number. Okay, let's add that function. What should the return type for get luck number be? What should the inputs for get luck number be? It's a trick question. There are no inputs. April Fools. April Fools. That's right. Okay, it's not super important that we talk a ton about this. Just know that random is a built-into C# class that you can use And when you say next, you can specify a low and a high number. So you will get a number between 1 and 25 that will be random. Right? So we have our luck number. The next thing we need to add is 5 points if the user is married. So here we would want to add get married points. I don't know. So let's write this function. What should the return type here be? And what should the inputs for the get married function be?
Yes or no. I know.
Okay, we have it as a string from our user inputs, right? So we need to pass that in here. And that means we need to pass it in here.
You have to pass it in at the top so that you can use it down below. Okay.
That's right.
Is it not accessible?
It is not.
Okay.
So we didn't get a chance to talk about classes. That's something I hope you'll all join me for phase 2 of this process next lunch learning season when we go over object-oriented programming. I think after you've done this course and the object-oriented programming, you have skills sufficient to start looking for an SET job over in engineering. So, is married comes to us by a string. So we need to pass that in. All right, let's write this function. So if they said yes, we need to return how many points? Cincos. And if they said no, -5 points. Saving lots of money there. I'm just kidding. So let's write this function. If is married double equals yes. Okay, we've got a bit of a bug here. We'll see it in a minute. Else.
Is it because it's looking for specifically YES all lowercase?
Yes.
Ah,
How can we fix that?
I don't remember, but yeah, there's a.
If only we had a function that was already doing this.
String comparison.
Be lazy, everybody. It will pay off. All right, so if they are married, we're going to, dang it. We're going to add 5 points for Gryffindor. And we don't really need an else because the value is already 0. Then we just need to return married points. Okay? Look good? Anything here? Let's run the program at this point. We have the points for the lucky score or the lucky number and married points. So we should start seeing some events not happen, right? Because the file that we are working with should have likelihoods. Yeah, the likelihood is very random in this file. Here's a likelihood of 25. Here's a likelihood of 43. So we should start seeing some months where we don't have any deductions. If you can correctly guess how many months will not have a deduction right now, you may have my job.
14.
The guessing has closed. $31, 1, 1, 1. Yes, 1, 1. Okay, yeah, we have some variance now, right? The final balance was 35,300 instead of 31,000. So if we scroll up, we should see some months where the deduction total was 0. Should still see some months where the deduction total was, yeah, there's one, 100. Turns out You do not want food poisoning because that will cost you $100. But food poisoning due to Clostridium perfringens, see Welch jelly, will not cost you any money. Okay, let's keep going.
Wait, where did you put in the other is married? Married point four.
So what you've got the thing to calculate likelihood score. That's right here in our main function. We passed in is married.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Then this is like a coordinating function. It's going to call all of our functions that calculate points for the specific metrics. Pass it from this function onto get married points. Okay, now we need to add 3 points for every covered dependent in the family. Okay, what is an input for this function?
Numbers that's in as well.
Okay. So we know that we now need to get the number of dependents. Okay, let's write this function. What should the return type be now that I've typed it? God. Okay, and what do we need to return here? Three points for every dependent. So if they have 3 dependents, 3 points each, 9 points, right?
What if they have zero?
If they had 0, then 0 points. We have a hacker on our hands. Yeah, negative number of dependents. Try reporting your taxes that way. Uncle Sam will get you. All right, one thing to point out here on Visual Studio, you can see very faintly there's this red bar right here. That tells me there's an error in my program. And if I click right there, I'm going right to the error in my program. And the error is you're saying this function, get likelihood score, has a parameter that is an int, but you're only providing me a string. So naturally, we need to pass in number of dependents. Is that what we called it?
They call it
Number dependence is the name of the variable when we get input. But the actual parameter is called num dependence. But remember, those names do not have to match. Okay, let's run it. So I'm going to put in a bunch of kids. So my likelihood score is going to go way up. I don't know, there's something wrong here. Like I feel like, I don't know, like I came from a big family and we didn't have a ton of like children's medical bills because my mom just took care of us. So maybe there should be like a holistic medicine score, or, I don't know, caregiver score. I don't know. We're going to talk more about that later.
Like, do you have a trampoline?
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, see, these are all things we could do. Yeah. All right, so the scenario was a little different again. 34,900. We saved less money because we had a dependent score. Okay. Next thing we need to do, the activity level and nutrition level. So if you look at these algorithms, they are very similar. I think we should be able to use one function to calculate both the nutrition and the activity level. So rather than doing what we've been doing, writing a function, then writing a duplicate function, and then combining them, let's think of a way where we can write it one time and not have to combine them.
We can do it the same way we did with the which function was it? Keep scrolling down.
It was the contribution amounts is probably what you're thinking. Calculate contribution amount. This will do it for employees and employer contributions, right?
Yeah, where we can pass like the tier and is married, or
Mm-hmm.
and then at that point we can just put the different values 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That way, if the the score ever changed to being 110 or 120, we could also just change values in there rather than have to recode.
Okay.
What if it changes for individual numbers, like that nutrition levels different?
That'd be a problem. Then we'd have to have separate functions.
Yeah.
So the real job of a software developer is to predict the future, right? How are things going to change? And I kind of say that jokingly, but kind of not. Like, if you can predict what will change and separate that out, your job will be easier, but it's like an art form, predicting what will change, right? Trying to anticipate how the business will change it's pretty tough. Easy to get wrong. But for now, let's write one function. So let's say get wellness score, and we will pass in the nutrition level. And then we'll do it again with the copy pasta. But this time we will pass in activity level. Okay, we need to make sure both of those things get passed to our function. Nutrition, int nutrition level, and int activity level. Okay. Let's build this function. Static int get wellness score, int wellness level. And we are going to do the calculation as it has to be. No Austin Gallagher rewrites necessary here, even though it's exactly the same. Right, so if wellness level is 1, it's going to be 1 times 2. Remember, order of operations says that multiplication happens before subtraction, so we would do a score of 8. If they had 5, we would do a score of 0. Okay. Once again, we're almost there, but we've got errors. We need to pass in the nutrition level and the activity level. So nutrition level and activity level. And we called those activity level and nutrition level. So something to help us keep everything straight here. You can see that Visual Studio tells me a little bit about the function that I'm calling in this prompt up here. Get likelihood score, takes in all of these parameters. Is married, num dependence, nutrition level, activity level. It would be very easy for me right now to cross the wires, right? And send the value for activity level into the parameter for nutrition level. But this prompt is helping me choose the right. Okay. Okay, here we go. 31. Activity level is off the charts. Nutrition level as well. But so many kids. I am married. I spend my money on jazz uniforms. Health equity is awesome. I made lots of money now. Because my nutrition level was off the charts, I'm married, so I get quite a lot more every month.
Has trampoline, you'll see that number.
There you go. Has trampoline, cut everything in half. Seriously, we might, I mean, we're going to finish today, so we might add some of these requirements, and I might have people come up and break the table, for example, Austin. So, no, we'll add some requirements tomorrow, and we'll have people come change our program accordingly. No one's showing up tomorrow. Thursday. Okay, last thing we got to do is the age. So, call it a day. Okay, here we go. Likelihood plus equals get age score. Age. We need to make sure we pass in the age. Let's take care of this problem before. Come up here and make sure we pass in the age. Okay. Visual Studio yells at me and says, this function doesn't exist. I'm going to do this time. This is an option. Rather than writing out everything, I can actually, Visual Studio can imply what the name of this function should be, what the inputs are, and what the return type should be. So I'm going to use Visual Studio to actually create the shell of this function. Bam. It detected we need to return an int, and it detected that there was one input called an age. Thanks, Visual Studio. All right, let's look at these age requirements real quick. So if they're 0 to 25, we add 5 points, 26 to 50, 10 points, 51 to 75, 15 points, and older than 76, we add 20 points. Everybody got that? Repeat it back to me. I'm just kidding. Okay. So if age is greater than or equal to 0, and age is less than or equal to 25, we need to do stuff. Yeah, equals is appropriate. Okay?
Because we're not adding to it yet.
Yep.
Just give us that value.
Cannot have two ages. I'm just going to copy this again. So our next band of ages was 26 to 50, yeah? $10 points. And after that, formatting error. We had 51
75.
to 75. Fitting. And finally, we're just going to say if age is greater than 75, 100, everything is going to happen to you. Just kidding. 20.
For sure, if you're over 100, it's gonna be.
Return age points. Okay.
Is there a best practice we believe for either doing a bunch of unconnected if statements or a series of if-else statements?
Not really. You know, they are different, but it looks like we are out of time, 1 o'clock. So I'm going to post this code to the Slack channel, and on Thursday, just come with ideas for requirements of how to change the program, and I'd like us to take some turns to work together to modify the program, and then Thursday will be our last session. What's that?
I think we ought to add trampoline.
Trampoline? Okay, trampoline.